Hey, welcome back to Made Up of Wires. We're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Something is going on, and we might have some excitement at the beginning here. My build is terribly broken after rebasing. So I'm going to try cleaning again, and then we'll see if things are working. If you're not familiar with the Castlevania Symphony of the Night decompilation project, you can go to soten.z.dev and learn more about it and find links to the source code we've decompiled, as well as a link to Discord where we're chatting about it. Doing a US build is looking good. My guess is nope, still not good. All right, something has happened. Let's see what I have staged. And if this is an issue of my own making. Possibly. Let's look at include. It said that when I rebased, it appeared to apply cleanly, but I should know better than to trust what it says. Always verify. Got the lava in there, that's fun. Let's build again and see how that goes. So yesterday we were working on various gears that are in the clock tower, and we're going to keep doing that again. Dig down deep, good to have you back, long time. Yeah, it must be Cloudflare's fault. I read about that this morning, that it was happening. I've not been affected by it at all. Is it still going on? Ooh, and I didn't even think that Decom.me is they have bot detection with Cloudflare, and Decomp.me looks fine. So either my my humanness has been cached or something else. It looks like a breakable bridge issue. It's possible, let's look at this quickly. It's possible that I did not fix the path here. Yep. And that, I think, is what's going on. Let's look just to be sure. Hopefully that's all it is. ASM, SPEU, ST, NZ1, SP. And I don't always clean because why would you? And yeah, that's what it was. Since I didn't clean, I still had a cached older version of it. Dig down deep is not sure. Yeah, Cloudflare, Google, Amazon, the too big to fails. Always a bad day when something bad happens at one of those. All right, so we're back. We're so back. And like I said, we were working on gears. And many of these are going to have be split into separate files. And so we'll work on that in a bit. But let's decompile something. I might end a little early today. I know I started late, but I'll end early as well. Because, hey, who's gonna stop me? Let's find some code. Do we want... Interesting that the small sideways gear... Oh, the small sideways gear is the elevator one. Let's do the large one, since my guess is it's slightly simpler, and it probably has the geometry code to track what the outside of the gear is. And then hopefully that is the same thing in the smaller one, obviously scaled differently. We're starting with PlayStation. I mentioned yesterday that I wrote some library and tooling for SciQ, lib, and object files, and for the most part that's all done. For 4 different versions of the PlayStation 1 SDK, I can read and round trip, so read into data structures, write it back out, all but one file, and it turns out that that file has some extra stuff in it, and the SciQ tools don't recognize that either. And so how it got produced to begin with is interesting. I'm not sure how that might have happened, but I do know that if their tools can't read it and my tools can't read it, there must be an issue. So we got to get rid of all these void stars, all the question marks. This is an entity update function. And so then I was thinking about what I originally called it liblib because it was a library for reading lib files, but lib files are not necessarily SciQ lib files. They could be lots of different things. Getting a new decomp. So then I was trying to figure out something else that wouldn't be trademarked, and SciQ is actually an expired trademark. From what I can tell, there is a Swiss company that has it registered in Weibo. Why Symphony of the Night? Ryusuke Kenji asked, why Symphony of the Night? I like the game. I like the game. That's why. Yeah, I don't know if there's really a good reason why. I was watching Symphony of the Night speedruns about a year and a half ago, and Dragon Blitz, who was the speedrunner, made a comment about the decomp project if it ever gets done. Looked at where the decomp project was, and it seemed early enough that I might be of some value, and started submitting some patches, and away we go. It turned out that there ended up being a lot of kind of serendipitous things about Symphony of the Night. First of all, it's PlayStation, and I had a reasonable amount of understanding of MIPS. And that would be true of any PlayStation or N64 project. I don't have a lot of affinity. I have some affinity, but not a ton of affinity to N64. So that's the other major system that I might have been competent in helping with. I think I will start at some point in the future an N64 project, but not yet. So, excuse me. What am I looking for here? First, I'm going to try to get rid of variables, and then we'll try to get this matching a little better. Yeah, and Symphony of the Night is something that I played through several times. Definitely not the best Symphony of the Night player, not the worst. The shift by 16 here is a little interesting. So the value that comes back from R sine or R cosine, those are PlayStation fixed format numbers where the decimal portion is the bottom 12 bits. And so when we shift by 16, we're not only shifting off the decimal portion, but it's like an additional shift by 4, which would be a divide by 16. And so I don't know if this is a bug in that the dev, so the Symphony of the Night specific code uses 16 by 16 fixed point numbers. And so we have to do a lot of translation between the 2012 and the 1616 format numbers. All right, so let's get one here. So we have a timer that's at offset. I'm gonna guess signed 16 offset 2. This looks a lot like the timer that we did for the gear puzzle yesterday. So I'm going to reuse that, and it's possible that gear puzzle is probably too specific of a name, and this could just be a struct for all the gears. We'll see. And I'm going to just put this in line. Make it a little easier on myself. I think I can name it. It definitely can be anonymous, but I think I can name it as well. This wasn't, it was plus equals 8. That's what I was trying to do here. That's Supreme Umbrella. Good to have you back. I hope your calculus is going good. Meadtree says, have you looked at Richter's physics whip code? So in Symphony of the Night, I don't think you can hold the whip like you can you hold the whip like you can in Super Castlevania and or no, I always call it Super Castlevania, Castlevania 4 and some of the other games. I'm ashamed to say I don't remember. Let's see. What do I want to do? Just let me see. And do I have a? I might have a load state, but I don't have them named. So we'll just get in and see if Richter can hold his whip out. Yeah, I can imagine that. So you can hold the whip out and move it around. A lot of the drawing code is just mixed in. I don't have my controller plugged in, so it's not going to work very well. From what I can tell, there's no way to set like a dead zone in DuckStation, and I'm using an Xbox controller, and the drift is real. I need just a tiny, like a millimeter on. You can't. I totally forgot. Yes. So each one of the links in the chain is going to be a separate sprite. We call them primitives. It's a Poly GT4 is the SDK, and so yeah, there's going to be physics calculation for each of those. I totally forgot that you could do that. Yeah, for whatever reason, I remembered it in other games, but not Soten. Why Iga? Yeah, that's true of a lot of things. Why Iga? Let's work on this a little bit, and then we can go see if we can find the whip code. Everything Richter has been completely decompiled for both PlayStation and PSP, so we definitely have that code. Whether it's been named or not is another issue, but it definitely is there. All right, so we have our temp v0, which is the ATAN call. So I'm going to call temp v0 angle. And then we'll call temp s3 offset x, including offset x2. And temp s2 we'll call offset y. The multiply by 360 here is strange as well, because that's 360 hex, which is not 360 decimal. And it's not how angles are measured in the PlayStation SDK either. So that's a weird value. I'm going to get the decimal value for that. That's not a number I can calculate in my head. 864. So 4096 is 360 degrees in the PlayStation SDK. So I don't know what the significance of this number is. We'll continue on. 360 is, that's so weird. It's like a little bit over half pi. Or, I'm sorry, a little bit over pi. Pi would be 2048 in the PlayStation SDK. Or hex. What? No. I'm very wrong. Very wrong. This is not that at all. 1023. It's like half pi, but not really. Weird. It's a weird number. Eldritch, good to have you back. You mean there's weird things in Symphony of the Night that nobody would consider before? All right, so I'm gonna reuse that gear puzzle struct. It's being used as a timer. I called it cooldown timer, but a lot of times we see these fields being reused in different ways. And so making this a more generic name probably will end up making sense. And we need to do a pre-decrement. Because so that should be a thing. And so if the cooldown timer is 0, then we're going to reset it to 128. 128 is a little interesting because it's usually used as a per frame timer when there's timers like this, and possibly this is 2. I wonder if it's 128 frames for a full rotation. That's my guess. And so what a lot of this math is going to do down here is calculate the outside of the circumference of the gear so that the collision detection and tracking across the gear works out. Sorry, I meant gear puzzle. Clock tower gears. Yeah, we did a couple of them, including the puzzle gear yesterday, and the puzzle gear was much simpler than I expected. Nothing really to it. Eldritch says a new collision box is made around the outside of the animation gears as Alucard moves around it. That is interesting. And here, what do we see? What do we see? Here's our collision box getting calculated. I'm still not sure what is meant by this X360. It seems like it's just a coincidence. All right, so we have a bunch of variables are gone. One left, temp S0. My guess is that this is going to be angle as well. So I'm going to make it exactly that. Rotation might actually be a better name for this. Looking at it. And so that would mean this offset 16 in the entity extension would be rotation. Here we're doing a plus equals. We might be doing these as separate steps. We'll have to see with the PSP. And these are going to be fixed point values. Konami style, Soten style. We call those fix. Anything else worth doing? So we're still about 10% off. I just fork this instead of save it. Yes. Oh, Eldritch, thank you. It's a 404. It's been going on for a while that you haven't been able to see what I'm doing. That's okay. So we have the big gear. So this is the, sorry. Now we're back. This is the hitbox that is being calculated. So Eldritch mentioned hitbox is recalculated as Alucard moves around. So we're calculating the player's distance from the center here, plus it looks like in the Y direction, another 26 pixels. And if the... Okay, so we're figuring out the tangent. So, yeah. So basically, if we're not at... how's this going to go? My guess is if we're on the upper half, but I'd have to look at how that tangent calculation is done. Then we're going to calculate the hitbox. There is some state collision, and 4 is you've hit something solid. So this is definitely wrong down here. We shouldn't be setting X to offset Y. And why do we think that this is offset Y and not offset X? I might have screwed up. What's new? Maybe this will help a little bit. Oh, we have this as pause X or offset X2. All right, I've got myself into a pickle. I'm trying to determine whether or not I should work on the entity extension. I'm not going to. I'm going to go grab the PSP version. Oh, if it would only be that simple. I see what I did. Not US, just be EU. So I'm going to talk about it some more, but I was working on this SciQ library, and as bad as assembly is and trying to parse assembly, reading somebody else's binary formats and trying to determine the meaning in binary formats, and Eldritch, you would have a significant amount of experience doing this as well. But binary formats are always fun and interesting. And I came across how dates are stored, and dates are wacky. So in 1970, Unix came up with the Unix epoch, and it's the number of seconds since January 1st at midnight of 1970. In UTC, I think it's formalized now to be UTC. And we're just going to take the PlayStation version. I got to grab that entity extension. And from that point forward, if you're using Unix or Linux or whatever, you don't think about it anymore, and that's what a timestamp is, except for when you have to deal with time zones. And your numbers in UTC. That'll work great until 2038, when hopefully everything is 64 bits and we'll never have to think about it again. However, on the MS-DOS and Windows side, they did not go that direction at all. And so they bit pack year, month, day, hour, minute, and seconds divided by 2 into a 32-bit value. And then I have no way of specifying a time zone, and there's no standard for what the time zone is either. So there's a fun document on Microsoft's developer portal about what Windows dates are. Oh, and the offset of the date is 1980, I believe, instead of 1970. So the years are plus or minus 119 years in either direction of 1980. SciQ chose to do SN Systems, Psygnosis, whoever was involved. They chose to do neither of these things, and instead, I put this down here. Their format is almost identical to Microsoft's, except the fields are in a different order. Why are they in a different order? Because I don't know, but everything else is the same. All the bit sizes are Psycho library. When your ex-girlfriends want to get books, they go to the Psycho library. Number of days since 1899. Another important epoch. All right, so I want to see what's going on here. The PSP version is going to give us a little nicer view into variables. So I want to look at ordering of assignment here. Check on our decrement. All that looks fine. This player paused X is, at least M2C thinks that this should be wrapped in parens, given higher precedence. Oh, interesting. This might make a little more sense. 36 is in hex, that's 54, right? Okay, so PSP seems to think that it's written like this, 54 times 16. These might be in subsequent lines. We'll find out in a little bit. The hitbox offset calculation seems the same. And then we get down here. This condition is inverted. That makes more sense. Our increment by 8. Subtraction. No, yeah, this is subtracting the Y value from this position. That is weird. And I guess it's a circle. Strange. The operands are backwards here. Okay, so this gets us pretty much in line with what M2C has done. So it's given us all it could. We'll keep going. I'm going to take a little break. Potty break, be right back. And then we'll keep going. So Hey, Romy, good to have you back. Stand by. Sorry about that. Perks of getting old, I guess. All right, so we see this a couple different places, 31, and I'm guessing what's happening here, and this is just a guess. Actually, it looks like these are getting pushed into a variable before getting assigned or getting passed to artan2, or sorry, atan2. So let's do that. Let's create some variables. What I want to see before I do that, are these being used down here as well? And do we already have variables that correspond? And it looks like we do. It looks like this is offset X and offset Y. It looks like the Y and X are swapped from where I normally would put them, but it's probably not an issue. And we'll see what the ordering is. I don't think it matters for trying to find an arctangent. My math brain is working. Okay, so am I missing the plot? I think I am. The other thing that looks like it's missing, there's only one reference to G entities. And my guess is that that's because a player pointer is being pulled out. So let's do that. a player. And I don't think that the friends matter here, but we'll see. Okay, so we're reading X and Y first. And the order here is going to be the big question. It looks like, so we're loading. So we are going in XY order as expected, and then passing here. So that all looks good. And I don't expect any significant change on the PlayStation, but we'll see. A little better. PlayStation is actually pretty close. There's a few things here and there. And we'll try to get to those. So we register issues. We'll try to work those out in a little bit. I think temp S0 is gone now. We do have I think all the right variables and no more than we need. The ones that we have might be in the wrong order, or there might be something else going on. All right, so get player collision with. We might have too many vars. These are, nope. No, we need those. Let's see. Collision. M2C chose a unsigned 8. It looks like it's just an integer. 51. I think we're doing the same thing here again, where we're going to be multiplying by 54 and then by 16. I don't understand the 54, and maybe that's wrong. Or how it translates to a shift by 1 and then a there must be some other magic happening there that I'm not parsing. But I'll take it. So it looks like this is going to be player. It looks like this is going to be player. It looks like this is 72F20. I should have this burned into my brain. This is VRAM flags, and still don't know why it's called VRAM flags. VRAM flag. There is a missing reference to G entity, so it looks like this is not. No. Let's look at M2C. What did I miss, M2C? M2C doesn't show me anything. So we're loading G entities again. So it's possible we're just, for reasons, because they screens were smaller, they didn't have as many opportunities to see. Lines that they had previously written. We're just gonna go grab that pointer again. Why not? And that's it. That was it. So you wouldn't think that assigning that pointer again would be necessary, but somebody at Konami did. And we're not matching on the PlayStation. Somewhat surprising. 41. So it looks like the shift and subtraction are happening. And then out of order, we're loading this. Oh, this is also, this might be why. I think this is VRM flag as well. There we go. The way that the PSP works, because it doesn't have any optimizations on, every time it needs to load a symbol from memory, it just does it again. And so the symbols might be different. So in that case, it was a that number is wrong. Let's go see what that is. So you'll get the wrong symbol, but the correct instructions. Player status. And I think, oh, look at that. That's a complete match on the PSP. Why would that match? 43. Oh, interesting. Oh, because we have a correct symbol table. And I think that's going to be a match on the PlayStation now as well. And there's only one way to know for sure. What was nice about this one is we didn't have to add any new globals that we haven't defined before, so this should work on the PSP as well. Without any modifications. And it does. So we have another one. So we have two more to go. We did large. There's the secret area door. Let's do small because I'm guessing it is mostly the same. We just have the vertical component to go along with it. We get some debug text in here. Guess I should save this, mark it as complete. I didn't add the other entity extension fields. That'll be a job for me later on. All right, so first I'm going to look at how similar this looks. It should be, I would think. So we have some debug code at the end, which doesn't exist in the other one. There's this portion here. I'm guessing that's going to be... there's also move entity. I think that's going to be the major difference. So I'm going to throw this in the context. I'm going to grab the entity extension. And we'll save that and then get going. So kind of carefully, not too carefully, but a little carefully, I'm going to grab all of this code up through case 1, and I'm just going to get rid of everything above. And I know that I'm going to be getting rid of stuff that I need, but my assumption is that most of it I don't need. There's some differences at the top. Oh, should we be a little more careful? Let's do this first. I guess we could be a little more careful. So really, it's just case 1 we want with this move entity stuff. So I'm just gonna go grab case 1, I guess. I do need a bunch of the variables, so we'll pull those over. We do have 2 new globals that will be relevant. I'm gonna grab everything from here, and I know that it's going to be slightly different, but most of it is going to be the same. So we just have to be careful. And then I should come through and fix these. So our stride here is 4. So I'm going to assume that this is a, I will say it's sign 32. I'm not sure if we've seen these already. If we have, then we can know. This stride is also 4, so I'm going to do the same thing there. Let's check that and see if these have showed up anywhere else. No, it's FCA1. I thought existed before, but I guess not. Saved reg 5, it means that there is a path that makes it possible for register S5 to not be set, but it's likely that in all actual cases, those paths would never be taken, but the compiler can't know. We're going to have to do similar things with the player. So player, all caps, is a macro that we use to get the first element in the G entities table. Hey, Dizzik, good to have you. Welcome back. And so we have a few 100 and 103. All this is going to go. Oh, the EO is different. This is just going to be using self params as an index. Here as well. These are 2 bytes off, right? So this is actually going to be a pause 16. Okay, sometimes I learn. What is this? It's pause? Wait, a pause 16? Point 16. And so then we're gonna have X and Y. Yep, thank you, Disick. Yeah. Agreed. All right, so now we have all this extra stuff. So a bunch of move entity stuff. The timer is actually different. There is no sound effect. So maybe this isn't as similar as I expected it to be. Yeah, no, all this is new. Okay. And then down below is our... It's not as similar as I thought. Okay, so never mind. I thought these would be nearly identical, but they're not at all. That's okay. Use the same names to at least give them some appearance of being similar. And we're probably going to have to do some of the same things looking at this. So I'm going to go back over here and not try to solve this again. So instead of 26 this time, we're going to be doing 25. And I think the rest of that is fine. Now we have to continue offset X and Y down. Again, Y compared to X, and maybe it's because this is a circle, and so it doesn't matter. It's kind of strange. It might be nice to pull out these rotation constants into a macro and make them configurable at build time. And again, using... Oh, this is the same. Never mind. I think this could be offset Y as well. We'll see on the PSP. So let's go up to 36. Where we have the first issues. So G entities is getting read. So this is the player pointer. And we'll have to see how many times that gets used. So that's going into register S5. I think we'll have most of those, yeah. Looks like all of them. So then down below we have a global again. So that pretty much did it. There's a few small things that we have to reconcile. So this is going to be the same as the other one, probably something times 16. So EO divided by 16 is E. E is 14. So just following the pattern from before, it'd be something like that. That's not doing the same thing. We'll see. We'll see. It could be that 54 was the magic number, and that 16 wasn't the magic number. The PSP will tell. And I don't know if there's anything. Are most of these gone? Not yet. I think this should be angle plus equals 64. So here is our saved register S5. Oh, there's a go-to that I missed along the way. We'll have to figure out where that is. Oh, it's here. This is the common debug section. We can grab that, but it's just going to be an include when we're done, so I'm not going to spend too much time working on it. So if you did fall into the debug section, S5 wouldn't be set, and I think that is basically what the concern is. And as long as we know what the concern is, that's fine. S5 is going to be collision otherwise. And temp v1 is gone already. So I think our variables are fine. Let's go grab the debug code. I don't remember what it is. So odd that the small gear gets a debug section, but the large gear does not. And that didn't move the decomp at all. So there's one more issue. It looks like it's related to that multiplication. I'm going to get the PSP version up and we'll solve it there. Surprisingly, not a lot of decompilation presets for PSP. PSP was a reasonably popular system, so it's somewhat surprising. And it had a really huge like mod scene and hacking scene, which also makes it somewhat surprising. When I started working on this last year, there was a bit of PSP work done, not a ton of it. And sometime last fall, Biz Murphy pointed out how they discovered that the stages weren't optimized and how linear the code was, and we didn't have tools really even for generating the configs or anything like that. So pulling the PSP code was a non-trivial task. But if you did it, the rewards were so worth it. And I still don't like it as a starting point, but to solve these PlayStation functions, it makes it so much easier. Okay, so I think we have some unnecessary grouping. We have a sign extension that's missing. So this, and we're missing a variable, so I'm going to assume that this is a new, oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Hold that thought. Are we reading player pause X again? So we're storing it here at offset 6. And we're not reading it. Okay. So I do think it's a new variable. So let's get rid of the cast. And then make this a plus equals. So there is an additional sign extension that's missing. And why would that be? So there's one more thing that's happening here that I'm missing. One more sign extension. M2C says, I can't figure anything out. M2C doesn't offer anything better. Oh, we are the ones with the. We have an extra sign extension at the top and a missing one at the bottom. So let's try making pause Y sign 32. That's it. So maybe it is the same variable. We'll see. We'll see. 53. It doesn't really make a difference where the angle is being added. Same thing here, where players getting assigned again. I'm getting close. This difference in constant is the difference between the button constants. So no issue there. And then 94, let's get rid of these casts. It looks like this is probably a sine 16. And that looks like that's finished as well. Not worried about the button, not going to worry about it. 37. It looks like params is being pulled out into a variable as well. And it's being pre-multiplied by 4. No, it's not. Never mind. So we need a params variable. It's one more than I wanted, but maybe it can be packed with angle. We'll see if it makes a difference or not to the stack. So we need does that blow up our stack? It does. So I'm guessing that this other one, that the pause Y that I created up here, is going to be offset Y. Because otherwise our stack is too big, and that looks fine. And then params we'll use here instead of that, and we'll split up. Alright, let's see if that's all in the right order. Might not be. Params is a sine 32. And that looks like that was it. Nope. Register issues order 63. be a plus equals. And is that it? Nope. Variables, 25. Yeah, so this is where I put, or decided to go back to S0. It looks like, though, it's simpler than I thought. This is going into S4 now, so we need to figure out what S4 is. S4 is down here on line 35. That is. Okay. So that means S0 is something different. So it looks like S0 is offset Y. So what is S4 then? We have an S4 on 36. It's ephemeral. Or it's params. It's params. Weird. That's weird. Let's see. So params is a bad name, obviously, because it's being used for different things. I'm going to leave it, though. Make a comment. And I think that'll probably work on the PlayStation as well. I'm reasonably confident. If you know, it compiles. Screwed up the context, it looks like probably pasted there. Or just type random characters, sometimes I do that. I use vim commands in the middle of everything. So not perfect. 51, we still have some issues. So yeah, let's go check those numbers on 51. I was worried about that, but this should tell us what the right numbers are. Oh, this worked out to be the right thing. And if I combine those, I don't think it will. So we're shifting by 4 and then subtracting the result. And shifting again by 16? No, shifting again by 4. So is that... is that something I'm missing? Let's look at... what did M2C come up with for that? It came up with multiply by EO. And what are we doing? so let's go back and look at the other one. The other one was like a multiply by 54 and then a multiply by 16. And I kind of thought maybe maybe the 16 was not the special number, but the 54 was. But I'm not seeing anything better when divided with EO by 54. So EO is 224, which is 16 times 40. Let's switch them and see if that makes a difference. It shouldn't. Right, the right numbers in. The other thing that we would see this though on the PSP. I was going to say it could be that these are being assigned first. Let's just check what this is. And see what the effect is on the PlayStation. I could if we multiply this by EO on the PlayStation to give us the right result. It doesn't. So there's something else going on. So let's try it and see. We're shifting left by 3. Let's just break it down into the instructions. Subtracting the result, which we don't really have the ability to do, and then shifting left again by 5. So that it could be a shift, a multiply by 14, which would be, yeah, look at that, and then a shift by 4. That makes more sense, which would be the same as a multiply by 16. So that 360 number in the other function was just a coincidence. So this is just multiplying by 14. And I bet we can switch the order. And I don't think it'll affect the operands. That looks a little bit more like the shift by 4 is a shift from PlayStation to the Konami fixed point. So that's like it. So sometimes you need to know like what the representation of those numbers are to get it to work right, and that's what we needed today. So this was sideways small. And did we have FC8 before? We did not. So let's build that and see if it works. Oh, I didn't so on the PSP we are going to have a different global. So let's fix that up. Right now I'm keeping them separate until I break apart those files, and then I'll fix up all the data. All right, so the only thing we have wrong here is the button constants, but those will compile to the right thing. So I think we're just a secret door away from having this file done too. No, we're not. Any errors or warnings? No. The constant is there, so we need to go up and replace this with the debug code, which is pad 2 and in debug. And that should be enough. No. Something major. It's RO data or data? It's probably data. We have, yeah, I'm gonna have to go through and map this. The string constant is gonna go into the data section, and so that's probably pushing things around. If I knew the reference, which I do, there will be a symbol for this, and this isn't right. This isn't how it'll get checked in, but in order to get this working for now, and I know this will be replaced later, I think that, hush, I'll give you your still not. Okay, something very minor. There's a 2-4 versus an 8C at 2-4-5 EO. And this is the string constant, so I'm not worried about this because I know that it's gonna get worked out later. So I'm gonna leave it like that, and we'll just say that it's green. Just fidgeting with how the memory is mapped and where that data comes from. It might be pretty simple. Let's look at the splat config. Maybe the data segment's already mapped. I don't think it is, but maybe it is. So we're going to look at STNZ1. We're going to look for E gears. And yeah, we don't have a data segment mapped yet, so I'm going to have to go through and figure out where all those splits are for data. And I'll do that off stream. And hopefully come back tomorrow and have a PR or something out. We'll see. We've been decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night, looking at the clock tower, the iconic gigantic gears. We have the small one and the big one, that small one that moves up and down, and the big ones that are big. We talked about yesterday a little bit how those are rendered, and I think that's worth just going over one more time. I should have a save state. We'll see if I do. Otherwise, who on me for leaving that area. Here I am. So the way that different gears are rendered is different. Imagine that. So these vertical oriented gears that are straight on the far left, those are sprites, and we have just a handful of frames that get to rotate then to give you the effect that they're moving down. Same thing with the ones in the back as well. Look at that. Skilled avoiding that Medusa had. These large gears, however, are just a single sprite. Stoned. And they're rotated in hardware as part of how that polygon is rendered. And you can always tell on the PlayStation when something is rendered in hardware because the edges of the pixels will kind of shimmer or not be super crisp. And that's what we see with those gears. It's kind of a telltale sign that hardware scaling is being done, which is still bound to integer dimensions. And then we have the little gears here, and the little gears are also hardware rotated and based on a single sprite. All right, so there's actually, if you go to the Discord and see the discussion there, Project Oblivion found that there's several different layers to this water. You have the 2 layers basically in the back, one to cover the gears and one to cover Alucard and everything behind it, including that other layer. Kind of a fun implementation detail. And then of course we have the secret door over here, which we'll look at tomorrow. And we'll open that door. Look at the small gear, the wall gear, as it was named, and look at how that puzzle is implemented. All right, so that's all I got. Go to soten.z.dev to learn more, and I'll be back tomorrow if you have questions or you want to see something particular in the game. Oh, we talked about the whip. I didn't get to the whip. I'm sorry. Maybe that will be my what was Jimmy Kimmel's joke about Matt Damon. Didn't have time for Matt Damon. Didn't have time to look at the whip. Real fast. What am I doing? I want to look for the whip. We have a whole file dedicated to the whip. All right, so different controller positions. What I want to see is how the chaining works. I'm guessing there's a recursive call somewhere to find each position of it. I guess it might not be recursive. It could be just iterative, going through each primitive. Surprisingly, we only have a single primitive there. I would expect so primitives have a next pointer, and they're a singly linked list. So I'd expect something to walk through that list of primitives in each section of the whip. Be its own thing, but if we look here, we do have recursion way down at step 2, which is a little further than I expected. So I don't know. I can certainly come back and look at that later. But that's all I got this time for reals. Adios.